Hello, my name's Darren Locke and I thought I'd do a little review of the new Boss RC-30 Loopstation pedal from Boss. I've had this product for a few weeks now and I've had enough time to play around with it, and I've got a few thoughts that you might like to hear. Now, the Boss Loopstation, the RC pedals, have been running for about nearly 10 years now. I remember owning an RC-20 XL back in 2004. The difference between that and this is that was a mono pedal, and this gives you two tracks of wonderful stereo looping. I think you've got about 3 hours worth of looping time on this. I've also owned the RC-50, which is the, well, you could call it the Rolls-Royce of looping pedals. That gives you 3 separate stereo tracks to play around with, whereas this gives you 2 stereo tracks, but they run synchronously. You can't have them running in and out of phase like you can on the RC-50. So that's one limitation that I found with this, is both the tracks run in parallel and you can't have them moving out of phase if you're doing ambient stuff, because sometimes it's nice to do weird ambient material like that with maybe a guitar or a piano track going in and out of phase with each other slowly. You can't do that with the RC-30. It's really more for the musician that uses drum tracks, rhythm tracks with everything locked in. It's quite a good sketch pad. I'll talk you through what we've got here. We'll go from the back. We've got, you have to excuse me, I haven't got my glasses on, so you can have me squinting slightly. You've got an XLR input there for a microphone. You've got your instrument in left and right. You've got your output left and right, and then you've got a foot switch pedal. And at the end there's a USB connection which allows you to connect it to your PC, and you can take files off or put files on, which is a function that you didn't have on the RC-20 XL. You've got it on the RC-50 of course, but that's new for this. And of course there's the power supply there. It also runs on 6 AA batteries which you get with the unit. Turning the unit round to the front, you've got these 2 lovely chunky foot switches which I really like because they're nice and tactile. One of the things I don't like about the RC-50 is you don't really get that response when you put your foot on it. 2 little LEDs there. First of all, the red one tells you you're recording, the other one tells you playing, and if they're both on, it means you're overdubbing. You got your power LED just to tell you that the unit's on. In this section, I don't know if you can see, you've got 2 little sliders. You've got your track 1 and your track 2. Controls your volume, selects the track, selects the other track, volume. LED display there which displays the looper number that you've got, and you've got 2 select buttons, a right button, a delete button if you don't want to use it. This section is the rhythm section. It's got some drum patterns already preloaded into it, so you can use it as a rhythm guide if you wish, with a tap tempo, on and off, and a type selection. So I don't remember how many drum tracks you go on there. They're just rudimentary snare, bass, kind of boom cha kind of noises. Good for tracking, but I don't think you'd use them in songs or anything. And you've got your mic input level at the end there with a little clipping light to tell you if you've overloaded it. The interesting thing about this is this little section here is the unit has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 effects that you can use over your tracks. You just turn them on using that button. Use that button to loop through it. You've got bend down, which makes whatever you're playing drop on about 3 or 4 octaves. It sounds like a tape's running up. You've got a step phaser, which it's alright. The sweep filter is nice, it provides a nice stereo sweeping noise. Tempo delay and lo-fi makes it go all crackly. They're alright. They're alright. They're not world-class effects. I quite like the bend down and the sweep filter, but the rest of them I'm not too fussed about. In terms of record quality, I think it's a really good unit. I like the fact that what you put into it isn't coloured by the electronics. It sounds, what you put in comes out sounding the same way. What I don't like about it is that you can't pan the tracks. You're kind of stuck with what you put into it. There's no modification. You can't pan it. And if you want to get the tracks to fade out, you can either use the sliders to do it, which is a bit difficult if you're a guitarist. You can program it to fade the tracks out when you hit the stop button, but because there's a lack of controls, there's a lot of messing around. Again, as a guitarist, I like things to be fairly simple and easy to understand, and there's a lot of press this button, do that, stand on one leg, touch your nose, that kind of thing with these buttons. I mean, there's a little guide on the back for you to look at, but again, I don't think it remembers your selections. I think you might have to write them to each patch for them to work, but it's not something I'm going to worry about. What I do like is when you punch in, it starts recording instantaneously, and when you punch out, it loops it. There's no gap in the looping, and I really like that for the guitar stuff I'm doing. One of the things I didn't like about the RC-30 is it was all linked to the tempo, and again, if you're improvising, you don't necessarily know if you're playing at 100 BPM or 120 BPM, and it used to stutter occasionally, like it was having an epileptic seizure, and sometimes my loops never used to match up, whereas this, everything is seamless, and I really like that. You're probably wondering, why are there two stereo tracks to play with? Now, you could put a drum on one part and a bass on another, or a drum or a rhythm guitar, and you can turn one off or turn it on again and have the other one playing in sync, which is really clever if you are playing unaccompanied with just this as your backing band, because you can have the drums stop or have the bass line kick in and mess around with it in that way. I think it's a clever idea. It's just a shame that you can't have them running out of phase if you're an ambient user like myself. What other things do I like about it? I like the size. It's small, fits into my little BCB 60 down there nicely. Goes well with my other pedals. What don't I like about it? I don't like the controls. Sometimes it can be really fiddly to select the track. You can do it using the pedals, but again, I've got to practice. I think it's me rather than the pedal. I've got to practice in holding both these down to get it to switch. What else don't I like about it? I think yeah. Again, if you want to switch patches, you've got to press the buttons, and if you're playing guitar, it's really difficult. You can add an optional foot switch, but I think they could have designed. I think they could have designed the controls a little bit better, or put a few more controls on there. Or they could have done something better with it. The point is, though, is for £239, I think it's currently retailing in the UK. It is a really good pedal for looping. I've got a few videos on YouTube already, and you can hear I've been using it as more of a sketch pad. I've been putting my guitar into it, getting it to loop, and just improvising over the top, and it's really great for that, because you don't have to think about it. You just fire it up, press the button, and away you go. So for that, it's worth its weight in gold. Now, this is the shocker. I'm so impressed with this that I have sold this very night my RC-30. I've got rid of it because I think I'd rather use this, something that's accurately tracking me, which I can punch in and out and keep my loops working really well, than have that RC-30 going, you know, making its own rules up as it goes along. So that's what I believe. I believe that this is a better product than the RC-50 if you're a guitarist and you want something to jam along to. So there you go. Well, I hope you find this little presentation informative. This is the first time I've done anything like this before, mainly because I never know whether to look at the camera, look at the product, or look at the screen, or oh, well, maybe I should have had a shave. But yeah, the Boss RC-30 Loopstation. I give it a thumbs up. Will you?